year is 2020. You're stupid, you have poor sense of orientation, and you don't know what a debuff is. But you still want to challenge yourself with a unique gaming experience. Then I have just the game for you. And it's not Shin Megami Tensei 3. But I still think you should play it anyway. SMT 3 is one of the more accessible titles from the SMT universe, so after the Persona games, it's likely the first title you play. And the last one. Because SMT 3 is notoriously hard, you might get discouraged when you see the guide, the science of the Bible, and the elaborate videos detailing the different mechanics of every single thing in the game. But in Eastern Europe, we have a simple way of doing things. Today, I prove to you that you can beat SMT 3 and have fun by simply following two old slave customs, being lazy and stupid. So squat down with me and let's begin. Step 1. Preparation. Since we won't be relying on our intelligence to beat SMT 3, the next best thing is to get as much experience within the game as possible. It's like cutting wood for winter. You don't go read an 80-page guide on this, you just go and cut wood. In order to get the advantage of experience, you need to maximize the time you spend with the game, without sacrificing important time for food and sleep though.
Based on my calculations,
This leaves us with only one option: the toilet seat. Since you spend the most hours of your day there, if you bring along a portable console, you'll become an SMT master in no time. Let's not forget that the best strategic decisions in life are made on the toilet seat and in the shower. But please don't bring your console in the shower. Step 2. Understanding the plot. Shin Megami Tensei 3 has one rule: less friendship building, more stair climbing. The great news is that if you do stumble upon some plot by accident, you'll quickly be redirected to the closest force battle. Of course, I'm sure someone will make a 1-hour analysis video on the meaning behind Hikawa's M-shaped bowling head. But we don't have time for this here, so let's keep things simple. You start the game off as a plank, a typical material used in RPGs that serves as the foundation of your self-insert fantasies. There's a big boom, almost everyone and everything on Earth is destroyed, and demons start inhabiting your house without paying for rent. Since there are no real estates, stocks, or cryptocurrencies to invest in, Satan decides that the next best thing to bet on is you. So he buffs you up with some steroids, and you finally become strong enough to unzip that hood you've been wearing for the past 17 years, oh thank God. You might think that the new apps and the tools you get with this power are totally worth sacrificing the population of Earth for, but you soon realize that you have been robbed of your most important asset, your brain. Because of that, you spend most of the game running around like a complete idiot, throughout locations that look like drug dealer dens, only to mutely listen to everyone else's questionable opinion on a variety of life topics. The most important moral you get from all these conversations is that if you're stupid, there will always be someone stupider than you. And for a game that's supposedly made for smart people, Shin Megami Tensei 3 has a lot of stupid characters. Surprisingly, even without a brain, you somehow still end up being smarter than your two friends, your high school teacher, the chief technical director of a communication company, and around 90% of the demons. If you think it's unrealistic that Lucifer would invest in a plank like you, the more you play, the clearer it becomes. The bar is just that low. Which brings me to my next point. Step 3. Not making friends. You know how in RPGs you get to meet a variety of intriguing characters, some of whom resonate with you, you bond with them, you develop the need to protect them from getting murdered throughout the game. Well, in SMT, someone needs to protect the cast from me murdering them. After searching for someone smarter than you to leech emotional support from 7 hours within the game, you realize there's no such creature, and but your plank still remains the smartest and most handsome person in every dungeon you enter. And you've entered a lot of dungeons by that point. Well, there's nobody worthy of being your friend. Unfortunately, as you're starting to shape up into a very strong plank, different characters begin taking interest in you. Just like in a high school simulator known as Persona 3, 4, and 5, they start pushing you to validate their completely insane opinions by asking uncomfortable questions and peer pressuring you into forming a clique with them. What's really upsetting is that on top of wasting my time with their stupid ideas on how to create the world, nobody asked me even once, like, "Hey Slavchik, how have you been doing in the apocalypse, buddy? How's it going for you? Is everything well? Or maybe bring some McDonald's if you're going to ask for favors, you grateful little shit." Through the game, you'll be given choices to align yourself with 3 different ideologies on how to create the upcoming new world, which leads to an ending for each alignment. Thankfully, in case you don't agree with any of the ideologies in the game, there are 3 additional endings you can get where you take your own path. And I say thankfully because I was expecting the ideologies to be thought-provoking, like, "Hey Slavchik, why don't we create a world where everyone is free to choose their own path and each of us tries to create the freedom that they envision for themselves? It's true that this might lead to our beliefs clashing, but isn't it better for us to unite and separate and fight for what we believe in, rather than to create a world ruled by the will of one God who dictates what our freedom is?" Instead I got, "Hey Slavchik, I like murdering people. Let's make a society where only the strongest rule." Slavchik? Slavchik? Where the fuck are you going, Slavchik? What the fuck? After being slapped by the 3 ideologies harder than Matador slapped me into the ground 30 times, I decided, I'll murder all of you imbeciles. And this is how you get the best ending. Easy, right? Step 4. How to play this thing. When you start the game, you might think that when the developers tossed the detailed plot out the window, they also must have tossed the instructions on how to fight the battles. Because the game provides some very vague tips in the beginning and just throws you out in the barely functional hospital to fend off for yourself. Luckily, Slavs are used to poor healthcare systems and questionable hospital conditions, so the survival instinct kicks in immediately. My suggestion is to type beast stinking juice should contain 3, put the first 5 results in favorites, and then never open them ever again. Now, hear me out, I have a brilliant theory. I think when the developers created the battle system, they had one thing in mind: for the player to experiment and find their own style. I know, crazy. The great thing about TSMT3 is that multiple different tactics can lead to the same outcome. So don't be afraid if a tactic massively supported by the fandom just feels counterintuitive to you, and try to have fun with exploring the different types of movesets and demons. Only through experimenting, crying, failing many times, and eventually succeeding, you can find what suits you naturally. Even if it means that by the end of the game, you still have no idea what you're doing. Step 5. Strategy. Now, considering SMT is a game that punishes mistakes, you might think, even though we're going the Slav route, we'll need a solid overall strategy. And you're right, it's called saving every 15 minutes. When you're about to enter a room with the prompt, save. When you start getting a heart attack and you see red in front of your eyes, go back and save. When you enter the mall and you see 5 demons standing in front of you, go all the way back on foot to the closest saving point, even though there's one just around the corner of the mall, and save. The easiest way to beat this game is to think like a paranoid freak and save at every single corner. Because it's not the big bosses that are the problem, they'll kill you anyway. It's the small ones that gang up on you after you make the wrong move. They'll lose you 3 hours of progress. I'm looking at you, Billy. Step 6. Grinding. Do you like grinding garlic? If you do, go play some Pokemon. If you prefer to use a press for your Gerlik, Shin Megami Tensei will do exactly that, as it presses you into a force battle every 3 steps. Stop for a moment. There's no need for you to run in a circle for hours until you begin questioning, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You go through so many force battles by just going along with the story that you soon start reaching levels with numbers you can't even count. So don't even bother trying to grind. Okay, maybe just grind for him a bit. Step 7. Playing Butte. As you level up through the game, you'll be given the choice to invest your hard-earned points from Gerlik pressing into the stats of your plank. Rule number 1 of any SMT game is to never, ever distribute your points evenly between the different stats, because the SMT universe hates normal, balanced, and mediocre people. Either become a Jim Bertishka by investing your points into strength and agility, or become Harry Potter by investing in magic and agility. Focus on one category and keep up in agility to avoid everyone being dead by the time it's your turn to react. Step 8. Smashing monsters together. Fusion is a mechanic of the game in which you execute 2 demons to summon a third one that is potentially stronger. Just think about all the moments when you collected cheap, fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but when you wanted to play with them, you had absolutely no idea what you're doing. This is exactly the same. You could follow the fusion calculators available online so you know how to get certain demons that you want. But don't worry, my friend, I have a much easier way. First, overcome your obsessive disorder from childhood that you gotta catch them all. Don't fuse all the available demons in the game and you have a very long and blissful life in a pension home while someone else out there is still trying to get all the fusions. On a toilet seat if they followed my earlier advice. Second, slave way to fuse demons follows a simple method which is effective 100% of the time. Just fuse the one that you think looks the best. And also try to have a party member with all the elements plus someone with a healing spell plus buff and debuff spells plus someone with ailment skills. But most importantly, it's essential to choose the demon that looks the best. Step 9. Accepting you get scammed. During battles, you sometimes have the option to talk to the enemy party. In case you can negotiate successfully with them, they can give you items, money, or even join your party. There's just one catch. Can you negotiate with gold diggers, intellectually challenge sewer drainage, or people who feel violated by opinions that are different from theirs? If you can, then you don't belong on the internet, my friend. Go in the real world and live out your full potential. For the rest of us, there is some big, weird mathematical formula how to talk to demons based on their character so you can recruit them to your team. But just like in real life, the only way to deal with annoying demons disguised as people from whom you do need something is to suck up to them and give them everything they want. But if they do want something valuable, politely tell them to fuck off. You will get the demon you want eventually with that tactic. And if you don't, it's okay. I'm sure you're already used to rejection in real life if you have the time to play this game. Step 10. The Labyrinth of Mana. Don't go there. Unless your favorite genre of games is the one featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.